tremendous.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Platinum Explosion, the number one PlayStation podcast on the Explosion Network, the first episode since we've officially rebranded as the Explosion Network, right? Yes, this hadn't happened last week, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, correct. Just checking. I'm all over the place. Too many things are happening. There's a million and one things. Today I'm joined by Jonathan Peck.
That's my name.
Jack Cruz.
Platt.
Nicholas Pryor.
It's your boy.
And we're here to talk because there wasn't much news this week, and most news was just rumor, and there's only so much fun you can have talking with rumors.
Rumor.
We're going to have a little bit of fun this week, and we're just going to talk each person's PlayStation 1 memories. What do you remember about it? When did you get one? What are your favorite games? Anything you just remember about the original old PlayStation. And we can make this a series, and we'll do the PS2 at some point, PS3 I'm sure, and we can talk all the things. No, we're never going to talk about Nintendo because, as I said, hey, this is a PlayStation podcast. In fact, the fact I just said Nintendo is probably blasphemy. In fact, any hardcore PlayStation fans are probably already turned off by now. So
I'm leaving.
I don't know.
What are
I
you
don't know. I might have to kick her from the chat. I might just quit myself from the chat. I'm sorry, everyone.
What are you doing?
It's not even my fault. I can't. Well, someone was playing with their Game Boy before the fucking podcast started recording.
You can't prove anything.
I can, because if anyone wants to guess who it was, based on who just spoke,
I don't care.
you can feel free to tweet at Cruzy_mate and tell him who you think was the person playing with the Game Boy.
Also say, how dare you?
I don't know.
It doesn't work if they're actually on the episode. Can everyone tweet at Ashley Hobley on Twitter and say, how dare you, please?
Yeah, how dare you, Ashley, for never playing Metal Gear Solid.
You piece of shit.
Yeah, we literally just fired him today because of that.
He also said he never had a PS1, so I don't even know why he's on the network, to be honest.
I like you, Ash.
I liked US.
I
said like.
Past tense.
Past tense, yeah. Past tense is all I'm going to say.
We were brothers.
And now we are enemies. So I don't know how we really want to go about it. I was just going to say if everyone could say when they first, if they like the moment you first saw one, how you got it, who had it, if it wasn't yours, that sort of thing. We'll go around the table. We'll just start at Jono.
Yeah.
First memories, first impressions.
So I first saw the PlayStation in December of 1996 at my grandparents' place. My uncle had just got one, and as we arrived there, everyone was kind of gathered around playing Crash Bandicoot. And I remember it very vividly. I was like 9 years old at that point, and that was my introduction. It was about a year later that we got our own version of it because we had a Sega Mega Drive at that point.
Sega piece of shit is what you're saying.
Yeah, we had that thing with all of those licensed games. But yeah, it was like I just remember being blown away by Crash. It was like the level where you're riding the hog wild or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, this is not a Sega game.
This is not a piece of shit.
Yeah. So that was my first memory.
Seeing it. When did you get yours then?
So we got ours in 1997, and it was like my dad's birthday present, so it would have been June, and it came with the demo disc and Formula One because he's really into racing. So that was the game we had for a while, but man, got so much value out of those demo discs, and that's something I might talk about a bit more later because it was a pretty big thing for us being kids and not being able to afford games. So yeah, that's me.
Damn Skippy.
Jackson.
Jack?
Dylan.
Yes, it's the same question.
We're not just saying people's names?
When did you remember?
Okay. So I got my PS1 in 1999. I was a little bit late to the PS1. I was a 64 kid I got my 64 in Christmas 1996, I believe. The first time I played a PS1 was not long after that, though, at one of my parents' friends' houses. They had one, and Wipeout. The original Wipeout was the first game I ever played on PS1. I remember playing it and being like, like I remember, I'll never forget sitting on the bed in this person's like house and playing it and like steering and like turning my hand like it's an actual steering wheel. I'll never forget that. But then that was sort of the only exposure I had to the PS1 up until, I mean, like most things, I was a 64 kid. My mate had a PS1 and he had the one, like he had a chip in it. Like, you know, a lot of the kids did, and he had the big like fat case of like, you know, hundreds and hundreds of burnt games, and it was like the coolest thing ever. Just to pause,
did we all have chipped PS1s at some point? Because I feel like everyone did, if you're going to be honest.
No, I didn't. No,
I held out for ages. I got it like towards the end of its life cycle because I didn't want to risk damaging my PS1.
Well, this is the issue that I had, is that I didn't get the original PSX. I got the actual PS1, the little white sort of, I guess the original PlayStation Slim, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah.
So that
Slim,
which had a hell of a lot of problems. I returned mine probably 3 or 4 times because it just kept breaking down. I used to get zapped. By the bloody thing. It was a really problematic machine. But
how old were you? If you were like, I'm returning it.
Oh well, yeah. We took, Mum took me down to Kmart and swapped it over and that. But
this thing's a piece of crap.
Yeah, I remember 9-year-old, 10-year-old Jack just like, hey mate.
It was one of those things that I had. It's like, so I did like all of my video game consoles other than my Nintendo 64 I purchased for myself. So I had a paper round when I was, a little fucking kid, and I used to get $10 a week from this paper round, and I saved up, and I went and put. So my mum and dad bought me 2 games. They bought me Die Hard Trilogy and Alien Trilogy because like why buy 2 games when you can get 6? So I had those 2 games, but I had to buy the console for myself, and so for about a year I would every week go down to Kmart with my lay-by receipt, which was like by the end of it. Do you remember when you used to have things on lay-by back in the day? It was like they used to staple the receipt to it every time
each
you got a new thing.
Yeah, $5 more, $5 more. And
yeah,
by
exactly.
The time you had like a tree of paper.
Yeah, so I used to go down every week with my bank card and put my $10.95 on the PS1 every week, and sort of So that was sort of. I remember every day for about a year reading the Die Hard trilogy, instruction booklet, and reading the Alien trilogy instruction booklet, and going through it, and just being so excited to finally play those games when I finally got my PS1. No, it was cool. It was just like being like, it was just so like I had them there and I couldn't do anything with them. Obviously,
so you had the games before the console.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, for like a year, it took me to pay this thing off, and I finally got it, and it was it was unreal. Just finally getting to put Die Hard trilogy in and playing it, and that it was, which is obviously doesn't hold up these days, but it was a good game. Like it was.
Technically, I had my PS4 games before I got the console as well, because you could pick them up before the midnight release.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I went around all day and I read all of the little tiny instruction booklets, and I read back to front all my launch day PS4 games because I just had them. I picked them up at 9 a.m., went to work, and then I finished work at 9 o'clock, and then the midnight release was happening. So I just carried around these PS4 games all day, like, tonight, it's happening.
Oh dear. But yeah, no, and so Die Hard Trilogy I thought was great. It had a lot of variety. Alien Trilogy still holds the title for the game that I hate the most in this world. And the reason for that is, obviously, everyone remembers back in the day, PS1, PS2 era, you had things called memory cards, where you had to, you had the little squares, and you had to save your games to them. You could only have a certain amount. And being a 10, 11-year-old kid at the time playing, and I had a few games by this time, but I remember playing through Alien Trilogy and just flicking through the options and all that, and there was in the options of this game, there was an option that said format memory card. I'm like, that sounds like a pretty cool thing. I'll format, maybe I can move stuff around or format it, change the layout maybe. That's not the
game's fault.
This will be pretty cool. And of course, format memory card. Are you sure? Yes. And then it comes up, memory card data has been erased. I'm like, oh, what? What? No. So I was, very.
If you
very
put a camera SD card into your computer and was like, I haven't copied the photos off yet, but format memory card, that sounds like a pretty good idea, and then you clicked on it, would that be your fault, or the the camera's fault, or the computer's fault? Whose fault is that?
As a 10, 11-year-old kid, I don't think I can take responsibility for that. They shouldn't have that kind of option in there in a game. Like, why is that in the game?
What's the game rated?
fuck, I don't know. Would have probably been MMA. I don't know. I'll Google
My
it.
point's over.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have been.
You've been
It was a violent game.
Shit game
They,
anyway.
if they've got an option in there, they're like, oh, people who are old enough to play this would be old enough to know what format memory card thinks.
It's shit game.
does.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it holds a special place in my heart for like in like the doldrums of the hateful parts of my heart because
Let it go, Jack.
I never
Let
will.
it go.
No, I'll hate that.
Let
that
it
game for
go.
the rest of my life because I lost like my Final Fantasy VIII save.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I lost heaps of stuff.
It's
So
alright,
I
that's
was
one of the worst ones anyway.
upset. But game sucked anyway, from what I remember, or I wasn't very good at it. One or the other.
1 megabyte, by the way.
Yeah.
I had an 8 one.
That was for the PS2. Oh, maybe you could get a
PS-
bigger one, but the PS2 one was 8, I think.
PS2 was 8 megabyte. Yeah.
No, they got bigger like third party ones for PS1 eventually, I think, as well.
You wouldn't have needed. Yeah, I guess you could fill it up. I guess.
Well, it had
Yeah.
15 slots, didn't it? The PS1 memory card, I remember.
something like that. 16.
Yeah.
You
Maybe.
fill them up if you're burning games left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Nick,
Yeah.
go to your. Same question. First,
Oh, I remember-
Jack kind of took it in a different direction, but go.
One Christmas, my uncle bought us this box. It was all wrapped up. It was for dream present for me and my brother. We unwrapped it and we were so stoked that we got it. We got this clear purple like controller that we thought was the best thing in the world, and we're like, who has 3 hands? This doesn't make sense. And yeah, our first games were Aero Gauge, GoldenEye, Super Mario 64.
Can we kick Nick off?
Wait. You fuckwit. Dickhead.
No, so obviously me and my brother were 64 kids growing up, and the only exposure we really had for the PS1 was friends and family, and like we'd go
What
over
do you
there and
remember
play it
thinking
all the time.
as a Nintendo fan or a Nintendo household when you went over to the
that
I
home
corrected my own English there. Don't worry, everyone. I corrected it. Jono was like about to be like, and then I corrected it. He was
Jono
like,
starts having a seizure
Jono
when you
started having a
talk.
seizure. He's like
"Ah!"
household. Oh, thank God, Dylan fixed that for himself. So when you went over to your friend's house, what did you think compared to your 64? Was you like, this is better, this is worse, or I wish I had both?
I don't. Yeah, I just thought it was a different game console. Like I had no
No shit,
Fanboy.
Sherlock.
concept of console wars or anything like that. It was like, oh yeah, my friends come over and play this, which they don't have, and we go over there and play theirs, which they have.
So that was a concept that not the console wars is a whole thing, but there was something that I picked up pretty early, which was like,
Yeah.
I had a 64 and my friend had a PlayStation. I was like, PlayStation, you fucking nerd. I've got a fucking 64. I got that joystick in the middle, son. What are you going to do about that? I got that one joystick and those C buttons, to strafe. And then it was only once I saw he's like, oh yeah, well, can yours do this? And he opened up the CD case with the 1,000 burnt discs. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
It was always something that was like, it was
Try
like,
and burn cartridges, you sucker.
yeah.
That's what I remember is my cousin had a chipped PS1 and she just had like the same as you, the big CD case full of
Everyone
burnt games
did.
and
Like,
whatnot.
I'm pretty sure everyone did. Like,
Yeah.
no one thought twice about it back then. It was just like, it's what you do. It's just,
It's the
And then I
coolest
got
thing.
got my first PS1 in about 2012 when I met Stacey and I inherited hers.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's
you
why you
play it?
married her.
That's why he married her.
Fill up my console backlog.
Yeah. You're like, you complete me with this console.
Had you played like PS1 games on like PS2 or PS3 or anything like that before you got your PS1?
Yeah, Yeah, I had a PS2, PS3, and PS4
But did you play
before I got a
PS1?
PS1.
But did you play PS1 games on any of those consoles before you got
Oh
a
yeah,
PS1?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
fuck
played, went back and played Metal Gear Solid 1 and
Good.
Nice.
Good boy.
Good. Well done.
Gran Turismo. Like I remember going to a friend's place and just playing Spyro 3 over and over again.
Ah,
Tomb Raider
Spyro.
and
God
whatnot.
bless him. The poor bastardized son of a bitch.
That was one of the rumors I was hinting at the
Yeah.
start of the episode. The rumor about Spyro being remastered like Crash.
Give it
Anyway.
to me. Well, don't actually. I don't
I'll
need
take it as well,
But I'll take it if they're giving it to me.
I'll take anything if anything's given to me. It's funny you say about like the console thing. So I can't remember what I got first. I can't remember if I got my Game Boy first or we got the family PS1 first. But they would have been in the same year or like a year apart either way. They were so close that I can't remember which came first.
How old
But
would you have been? What year would it have been?
How old would I have been when I
Yeah.
got like PS1? I would have been like 5, 6, I suppose, or some shit.
Shit, son.
Maybe. Let's think.
He's younger than
I
us,
can't-
Jack.
A lot
22.
younger.
Yeah,
a lot
no,
younger
yeah,
than any
no,
years.
it's weird to think about.
But I've like proper like so I had but it's funny though, like the console war thing. So I had a Game Boy and I had a PS1. I thought that's what it was. I thought Nintendo meant handheld. I didn't actually just find out what Nintendo 64 was until I was like 13, 14. I never knew.
Oh, wow.
I never had any friends that had one. I never saw one. I never even knew it was a thing. To
No one in
until I
Tasmania
was
knew
like
what
that old.
technology was.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I never had the friends. I never went over to like. I still don't have friends, but I never went over to like.
You know, I guess you could call us acquaintances.
I never had any friends that were
Nintendo kids.
in livable that I could go to their house.
They lived on the street.
Yeah, no. I mean, like.
You had
but
neighbors
none
where
of
you
them-
jump over their fence and play their video games, right?
He had a PS1. They had PS1 too.
Okay.
That was a
See, I had
PS2 by then.
There was a
actually,
kid in my
probably.
class that was like a Nintendo kid, and we had bitter like arguments about it. I even remember we sat
Jono
next to each
struck
other.
him one day.
Yeah, I struck him. No, I remember I wrote in my Bible, like the first page of my Bible,
course you did.
Nintendo 64 sucks. Which
Jesus. Of all things, this
I
is
know.
blasphemous.
Probably
Is
not
that
the most
blasphemy?
probably not the most edifying thing to put in. A
I
Bible,
rolled up
but
drugs in the Bible once.
I
I'm
hope
not
you
sure
still
what's
have
worse,
that
that or
Bible.
what you
I-
did.
I
I
probably
can-
have it somewhere. That's the thing.
Can
need a
confirm
picture of that.
I've smoked tobacco rolled up in Bible pages, so I don't think
Yeah.
I can really judge.
No, neither. So,
Wow.
but I think what Jono did's worse.
No, I do as well. I didn't like sacrilege. If anything,
Mine was
I
one of the blank pages at the start.
I was consuming.
mine was a blank.
absorbing
Taking in the Holy
God's.
Spirit.
I was absorbing God's words. Jono was just defaming it with trash talk.
But it was true. Like Nintendo 64 sucks.
Hey, it's not.
Yeah, I
I
still think it
sucks.
I always say it sucks, but I'm
GoldenEye
like, by the time
was-
I discovered it, I was too old. So
I think it has its place in the. It's
has its
definitely not
place.
the worst console. It's probably
No.
better than the
I
Wii
remember
and
the
the Wii
first
U.
time I ever tried to play GoldenEye, I was like, how the fuck did anyone ever play this with
Yeah,
its stupid 3-hand controller?
Yeah, it was terrible. It was terrible. But that was all we knew back in the day. That was all we knew. So it was all we had to go with.
All I knew was D-pads and bitches, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, D-pads. Get that fucking D.
So my the first time I ever saw one was the day we got one, and it was, I don't know why we got one or something like that, because never had heaps of money growing up. So I don't know, maybe they won it or something, because at one point they won a Wii as well. So so maybe they won this PS1 in the competition. My
Maybe
parents
they
used to-
Maybe they stole them.
Maybe they stole it because
was hot.
it wasn't brought as a present.
The
It
one
was
the one PS1 in Tasmania has been stolen.
It wasn't
What was
like
the games that you got with it, Dylan?
Need for Speed, Spyro,
Yeah.
and Tomb Raider.
Sure.
And I was allowed to play Need for Speed because that's just a racing game. And me and my dad used to play it the whole time. One of my earliest PlayStation memories is racing my dad and holding down X so hard that I cried because I hurt my thumb so much, because I thought if you held down X harder, it would mean you'd go faster, and I really wanted to win, and I held down so fast that I hurt my thumb somehow, and I just started bawling my eyes out.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah, so
Dad
that's
just gives you a backhander.
yeah.
Yeah. Pussy, son.
pretty much. I think that's probably my earliest memory. But then I had obviously Spyro was for me. Spyro is also the first game I ever remember 100%ing, or as we call it these days, platinuming.
Plat.
We used to call it clocking.
Clocking
We did
in,
used to
yeah.
call it
You
clocking.
clocked it.
Yeah, you clocked
Also,
that game.
everyone makes fun of Batman, the last Batman, that you couldn't get the true ending until you got all the secrets. Original Spyro, same thing. Main boss gets locked away. He's like, I'm going to go run behind here until
I
you get all
remember
the
that.
gem things,
Son
come
of a
back, and then
bitch.
you have to beat me in this extra level. So fuck off. They were doing it back then in Spyro.
Yeah, and,
I wasn't allowed to play Tomb Raider though, but I was allowed to watch. I wasn't allowed to play.
Your
So I
dad,
remember
that was your
watching
dad's special
Tomb Raider
game.
a
He
lot.
Was
used to
that
wait till
your
everyone went to
dad's
bed.
game? So you know.
Yeah, that was his yeah. And
Those
later on, when he
triangle titties.
he got the Die Hard trilogy later too, with the gun
Yeah,
and
nice.
everything.
Yeah.
And I wasn't allowed to play that either, but I was allowed to watch. That was it. No play, just watch. So yeah, PlayStation was the first console I ever had, and I thought that's all it was. It was never like, oh, this is the PlayStation console compared to the Nintendo. It was just like, this is the game console. This is all there is in the world. This is what you play. But my uncle also had one. I remember he got one like probably shortly after or something like that. Because I remember going around then, he had a bunch of different games that we didn't have, and he had Crash, and that's the first time I ever saw Crash, as I played at his place. And I was like, we need to get this game. This is the shit. He also had Abe's Odyssey, which freaked me the fuck out as a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Because Abe
Yep.
made that weird noise and all the weird sounds and all that sort of thing. And I was
Yeah,
like,
that
this
scared
is
the
like a
fuck out of
horror
me.
movie for a child. I can't turn it off, put Crash back on.
I loved Abe's Odyssey. Like, that is a game that I played a demo of, and I was like, I need to get this. I just loved it for some reason.
Yeah.
It's on the list of games that I could never beat as a kid, like even when I started playing it. And it's on like I really want to play through the remaster, just
Yeah,
simply as a...
do it.
Similarly, I never beat the first Crash, like the original Crash as a kid, like properly.
It's not
I never
easy.
beat it from start to finish. Yeah. I used we got the passcodes, and I would skip to like the last island, and I'd play through the last island from start to finish and be like, I did all the levels on the last island, so that counts. But I never actually beat all the levels. So when the remaster comes out, I'm really looking forward to beating that finally, properly.
Yeah. With proper save files, not where you have
With
to
proper
like...
save files, not fucking password book. It's so funny when you think about that games. Like, you had to input the box symbols still on a PS1 game. Like, early PS1 games still had that. One of the earliest games I remember getting was Hercules, the Disney game.
Oh,
And
I
that-
loved that game.
It was the shit. Like, not shit, like the shit. It was a fucking awesome game. But that game also had the same thing where you had to like level select. It was like Medusa symbols you had to write down for stuff. And I remember, I've still got it somewhere, I think. And my instruction booklet in the back just has like little kid drawings of all the symbols, like writing down level select symbols that you needed for stuff in the back of the booklet. Back when they used to put 6 pages of notes for you to do that stuff. So, oh man, instruction booklets.
Aren't
back
they the
when they were-
fucking best?
Back when they were thick. Oh, I love instruction.
That is the
Had like
one
12 languages.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did. That's the one saving grace for AFL Evolution throwback to last week is that it has a fucking instruction booklet, like a solid, like thick instruction booklet, and it smelt fantastic. The only good thing about that game. Continue.
So, I think I want to go. We'll just go straight because I just want to get straight to it. Like your favorite game. It doesn't have to be what you think is the best game. Or let's do both. What do you think is the best game? Like, if IGN was to have it or something like that, like the best, and then what is your personal favorite game from PS1? So we'll swing it back around to Jono.
Sure. So I've got a sheet here with a whole bunch of games written down. So I'll just try and not talk
You
about
can
all
list
of them.
some if you want, as long as you say this is number one.
Okay. So Abe's Odyssey was one that I remember standing out a lot. Future Cop LAPD was really cool.
Yes. I was about to bring that up.
Yeah.
Never played that.
That's one of those like forgotten PlayStation games of the week that I tried to submit to PS I Love You. They never picked it. But that was an awesome... It was like a mech kind of game where you
Yeah.
were...
What was
like,
it? What's it called?
It was very
called
it
Future-
inspired a lot of MOBAs too.
Yeah, it was Future Cop LAPD. And it was...
Feature Cop. Oh, I think I played a demo on a demo disc once.
Yeah, it was like a linear level where you'd have to go through and shoot stuff, and you had bullets and you had missiles, and you could
Yeah.
traverse the different environments. And then there was a multiplayer, which was like capture the flag as well.
Wasn't it like Ghost
Yeah,
of the
it
Shell?
was like capture the base. So you're on either side of the map with a base, and you're like
Yeah.
creating mobs and stuff to attack their base.
It was awesome.
Very much like Dota or stuff like that.
Right, nerds.
Yeah, the PlayStation 1 was a game that a console where I played tons of sports games. We didn't get many games, and the sports ones you could just play and play
It's
and
funny.
play.
I never played any sports game. That's probably the one console I've never played a sports game on.
Really?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, it's a bit different for us. Like, we played tons of demo discs. I used to get like the PlayStation magazine
for
subscription,
sure.
and every month I'd get a new demo disc. I get to play a whole bunch of different games, and it meant that I didn't really have to buy that many. And on top of that, I actually did video game reviews as like a 12-year-old kid because my dad was the editor at the newspaper, and he'd go in the TV guide. And the ones that they got sent,
Dad, can you publish my video game reviews? Fuck.
Do they get published?
yeah, they got published. That was my
love
first
it.
time getting published, and I got paid in games, so I was happy. But they were all
yeah.
sports games. The ones I remember, it was like Madden 99, Knockout Kings 2000, NHL 99. So it was all those kinds of games that we'd play. And they were, like, because me and my brother grew up like playing games together, that was the thing we always had fun doing. But as far as the games that stand out the most, I got to give a shout out to the Phantom Menace. Terrible movie, awesome game.
I'll agree.
Yeah,
me,
not bad.
me and my brother couldn't do it these days, but me and my brother played co-op in that game a fuck ton when we was kids. The Phantom Menace one.
I didn't know you
I'm
could
on.
do co-op. Co-op?
Yeah. He plays one or the other. Yeah.
Okay. Because there was a part in that game I want to talk about where my brother, like, it was a really tricky bit that we got through, and he saved the game because you could save anywhere. But just as he saved it, he got shot and died.
Blaster shot. Yeah, I remember that.
So we had to like load it like maybe 100 times to try and just deflect one of the like lasers from the droids. And we finally got through. It was awesome.
This is a good call because I'll point out, if people that ask me like what are your top 5 Star Wars games, the Phantom Menace PS1 game would be like my favorite Star Wars game.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I have such fun memories as a kid playing that. So.
And it
Never
was,
played it.
I think it's like, the thing that I liked about it was there was a level in, say, I think in Mos Espa or Mos Eisley, whichever one of those two. Dylan?
I don't know which. Mos Eisley's the
It'd be Mos
cantina,
Eisley.
which is
Yeah,
not.
I think it's Mos Espa then. So, you're trying to get the hyperdrive for the ship, and you're talking to Watto, and Anakin's running around.
Annie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And there was just a bunch of different ways you could go about it. And it reminds me of like Fallout 3 and having a quest. And, you could just kill everyone, or you could do what they tell you to do for the quest. And you could break the game by killing too many people, but I just liked it. It felt like such a large game, even though it wasn't.
That's a late PS1 game as well. Really.
Yeah, I guess it would
Yeah,
have been,
it was,
99 or 2000.
Yeah, 99, 2000. So.
Yeah. SmackDown games were really big. They actually got me into wrestling.
Yeah.
And Final Fantasy VII was a game that I ordered with my subscription to the official Australian PlayStation magazine. You got a free platinum game, and that was one of them. And
Jesus, really?
I remember the graphics of those cutscenes. Just me and my brother were blown away.
But, yeah.
Like, it was, apart from maybe Toy Story, that was the best
Yeah.
like computer graphics I'd ever seen. And
There was on one of the demo discs. Do you remember on the official ones, they'd have like proper demos, and then they'd just have like trailers for games.
yeah.
I remember one of the ones I had a short trailer sequence from Final Fantasy VII, like the part where they blow up the fucking tower
reactor.
at the start, the
Yeah.
reactor at the start of the game. Like, it just had that clip, and they had the explosion and then Cloud like falling down. They had
Yeah.
that clip on the demo disc. I watched it over and over and over, and I was like, God, I need this game. This is the best looking game I'd ever seen. Because they showed that clip and then it went to blank for a couple seconds, and then it was like Final Fantasy VII, and then they showed the actual trailer after that clip, and they showed him on the bike and all that sort of stuff. I'm like, this part where he's on the bike,
Yeah.
that is unbelievable.
Yeah, we actually had a save game that was just before the bike scene so that we could watch that clip
Yeah.
over and over again of them
so
escaping
good.
the Shinra building and then riding the bike, and the actual, the gameplay of that mini game where you're trying to swipe guys off the bike. It's still one of my favorite games of all time.
Looks
and
like
I've-
shit today though.
Yeah, the character models are terrible, but the environments still
yeah.
look really good.
Okay.
They hold up. Yeah, they're pre-rendered.
I think that
environments,
they're
do.
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
For-
yeah.
The Golden
So-
Saucer still looks pretty cool when you go there, like the how colourful and all the different stuff that's happening there.
Yeah. And my number one game is one that I never actually owned because I rented it. I used to rent games back then, and I probably rented it like 3 times. I should have just bought it, but it's Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. Saw that coming.
Yeah, and like I won't say too much about it because you'll probably talk about it, Jack. I can kick over to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the obvious choice. I knew it was going to, when I saw that coming, obviously, because it was a big inspiration for your book, was sort of where I was coming from with that. Didn't want that to sound too dicky. But
It's just an awesome game as well.
Oh, it's one of the greatest of all time. So, similar thing, a few shout outs. Shout out to Dino Crisis. That was some good shit back in the day.
One of my friends I knew someone that was like obsessed with Dino Crisis, but I never played one. But he wouldn't shut up about it. It was weird.
Yeah, it was just a good sort of scary game. Shout out to Siphon Filter and Siphon Filter 2.
The taser.
About that.
Yeah,
I love tasing dudes up on the roof with like the 50 meter like taser.
Yeah. Shout out to Tekken 2 and Tekken 3. The amount of hours I pumped into those games was just, I couldn't sort of count. Like just hours and hours and hours. I absolutely love those games. Shout out to Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Again, like 1 I didn't play a lot of, but 2 and 3 I put like so many hours into. And there's some lesser known sort of games that I really love, like the Digimon game. Digimon World was again another game I just put hours and hours and hours into. The like Dune and the like Command and Conquer games, like they were awesome. Loved putting again hundreds of hours into those games because I never got a computer until like I was in like high school. So my mates used to play on PC and they were always playing like Command and Conquer and Red Alert and all that, and I had to play like the shitty console versions of them and just play skirmish, and that was pretty much it. But I loved it. I thought they were awesome. Castlevania Symphony of the Night, obviously, amazing game. The Tony Hawk games.
Yeah.
Like Tony Hawk's Pro Skate, again, just... And I think that was the big thing about the PS1, probably more so than any other console for me, is games that weren't necessarily like, single-player story-based games. I put probably the most hours into, like the Tekken games, Command and Conquer and that, and the Tony Hawk series, like 1, 2, 3. Those games I probably put more time into than... it'd be close to like any other series of games that I've played. But the two main ones for me that stick out that are most special to me, Final Fantasy VIII and Metal Gear Solid, obviously. Final Fantasy VIII was just the game when I never played Final Fantasy VII on PS1. I used to watch my mate play it. He had the burnt version, and I went and got Final Fantasy VII. I went and got Final Fantasy VIII. And just absolutely fell in love with it. Again, thought it was absolutely beautiful, the most amazing thing I'd ever seen. Those cut scenes, like the opening at the start. I was absolutely blown away. The music of that game, like I could listen to that soundtrack over and over again. And the story's a little weird and wonky, but the characters... Like, I love those characters. Like, they are some of my favourite characters in any game. Like Irvine or Irvin, however you want to say it. Quistis, Renoa, Zell. Like, there's that supporting cast.
Everyone but Squall.
Yeah, like, even Squall, he sort of comes full circle. Like, he's a shit cunt at the start of that game. Like, he's literally, like, the worst character ever. But as the game goes on, he sort of comes like full circle, and then there's this sort of the weird stuff with Laguna and his crew, and just I loved how it all just sort of melded, and you meet the characters from the past. It just absolutely love that game. The story of Metal Gear Solid for me, and it's like number 3, I think, in my like top games of all time.
I love how he has to think, because he actually has an official
I have the list. Yeah, it is. It's
at all times.
It is.
So he's not guessing.
3.
He's like literally trying to picture the list.
Yeah, no, it is. Metal Gear Solid is number 3 on my all-time favorite games list. And the story for me was my way I was introduced to it was I'd always seen get the PlayStation magazines, and you'd see like the top lists of all time and the highest rated games, and it was always at the top. And I never knew and because I never had access to the internet or anything like that, I never knew what it was about. I thought Metal Gear Solid was a racing game. That is honestly what I thought it was. I'm like, Metal Gear Solid. I'm like, yeah, it's a racing game. Like, that was what came into my head, and it came, and I got a demo disc one day, and the same thing. I was like, I'm like flicking through, I was playing this like pipe game and a couple other things, and then like Metal Gear Solid. I'm like, oh, I've heard about it. I'm not really big into racing games or everything. I'm like, I'll give it a crack. And it starts, and like you come in through the thing, I'm like, what the yeah. and you're swimming through the like that opening where he's
This
like
is
swimming the
Snake.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is Snake. Yeah. Oh, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? And he's going up in the elevator. I'm like, when does he get into the car? This is what I remember thinking playing it. And I'm like, at what point does he get into the car? And
It's very late in the
playing-
game. It's like the last scene.
and then then you get to play up until DARPA Chief, sort of when you
Yeah.
when you see the DARPA Chief in the cell. And I remember playing that demo.
What a demo. Such a great demo.
Probably 100 times
Yeah.
playing that demo. And going and going to go find the game at at Kmart, and they're only having VR missions, and be like, fuck it, I'll buy this. And the guy being like, you can't play that without the actual other game. And I'm like, I just want to play it. So that was sort of, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to go past Metal Gear Solid. Those two games are probably the most special ones for me, is Final Fantasy VIII and Metal Gear Solid. And the Resident Evil games, obviously awesome. And all the other ones I shouted out, but those two are probably the most special for me.
Yeah. The thing that sticks with me about Metal Gear Solid is just such a diverse gameplay experience.
Different. It's just so cutting edge for its time.
And like so many little things, like the AI was unbelievable to me at the time. I remember, you walk through the snow, whose footprints are these? And it's like,
Huh?
the
What was that
knocking on
noise?
the knocking on the
Yeah.
walls, and
Yeah.
like crawling through vents, and there's like the mice in there that show you the way out, and they just put so much thought into it. For a PS1 game, it seems so advanced,
Oh, it was
and you
unreal.
didn't think for a minute that the facial, like the face models,
Yeah, they had
were
no
crap.
faces.
and stuff like that. It was just, and the bosses were all so
Psycho
different
Mantis.
and
The
so
Psycho
memorable. The characters.
You've been playing Castlevania. That I remember being, and like it just little like the little nuances in that game, like the Psycho Mantis boss fight, in my opinion, is probably the greatest boss fight in video games, just because of how different it was. And like
Yeah.
it wasn't this epic battle of like, but it was just so different and unique. And things like, you've got to contact Meryl, and it's like, how the fuck, and like the code being on the back of the box, like pure her frequency being on the back of the actual box, like your case, pure genius. Like Kojima at his absolute brilliant best, just still years ahead of his time. Nothing's ever really gotten that close. Like he's never gotten close to that magic of that first game, and I don't think anyone has, and I don't know that anyone ever will. Just how
Yeah.
unique it was. It changed everything. That
And
game.
even little things like there's the diazepam that you got to take to steady
Yeah,
your
yeah.
sniper rifle, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
I was learning things. Like like my wife's a nurse now, and like I'll randomly mention diazepam sometimes, and she's like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what that is? And I'm like, yeah, I played Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. Or when you smoked the cigarettes, your health went down.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah.
good.
Go to Nick. I suppose it's different. Like what
Yeah.
games did you go back and play? Like that you felt
I
like
mean,
you
I
had
played a
to start up?
few PS1 era games that were on the PS1 but not on the PS1, like Final Fantasy VII. I played on PC,
Yep.
and from that era, I reckon it's my favorite game and the top game of that time.
Oh, don't worry.
but-
When I played Final Fantasy VII, I played it on an emulator as well. I never actually had it
Yeah.
on.
No,
on
they actually
console, so-
released it for PC as well, though. Is
yeah,
that-
they did. I have
Yeah.
the box and everything, and the discs and all that.
Well, I had it on the emulator.
Thief.
Yeah, I mean,
Pirate.
I know, right? This
Get
is
him-
when I
get
was
him,
still
Tom.
For me,
bad.
like-
Get him,
This is
Tom.
still when I was a bad kid.
Cutting up
for-
body.
like
Pose.
Metal Gear Solid is my favorite series, and from 2 onwards,
except for 5.
going back, like not play, yeah, except for 5, but going back to play Metal Gear Solid 1, not playing it at the time, it doesn't hold up as well for me. Like it's
Yeah, you
definitely
need
not
to
my
have played
favorite
it
one of
for-
all time.
You need
No,
to
I
have
could
played it
never
first,
finish it.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, I mean the controls were horrendous.
Yeah, they are.
I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't. I mean, I got through it, but I haven't gone back to play it since.
I could never finish it as a kid, and I went back and tried to play it when I was older, and I just couldn't be bothered because it was too hard to control.
So you never
I-
finished it, Dylan?
No, I never finished it.
Mm.
Oh wow.
Get him, Jack.
I never
Yeah.
finished half the games I played as a kid.
Step
I was a
into our
fucking kid.
office,
Metal Gear
Dylan.
Solid was too hard for me as a kid. I couldn't finish Crash.
Even going back to play Resident Evil, I couldn't do them because of the control.
yeah, I
controls
found
are
the
terrible.
HD
Silent
of,
Hill.
of Resident Evil really difficult.
Yeah. I mean, the fondest memories I have from games of that era is like going to one cousin's place and playing Hercules over and over again, or my other cousin's place and playing my favourite game from the PS1 at that time was Street Fighter versus X-Men. I mean,
Damn,
I would play that over and over and over again. But I never really spent enough time with it to draw any close attachments to it. Because often when I was going to these places, I'd have to share it with everybody else.
Sure.
When I think about my PS1 games, I put them into like two different eras. One, like the first couple years when I was real young, and then later as when we're heading towards the 2000s when I'm a bit older, that's like a separate. So when we first got it, all I remember is playing. I don't think I finished game for ages apart from like Spyro, but it was old games like that. All I remember is like Spyro, Croc, Legend of the Gobbos,
Croc.
all those like the cartoony platformers, all that sort of stuff, like the
Ape Escape?
Crashes and all that stuff. Ape Escape, when that finally came out, and I got one Christmas we finally did get the analog stick controller, because I was like, Mum, we got these. You don't understand. Like, I can't play this game. Why not? It's like, you need a different controller to play. Like, because I got the game, I didn't realize you actually needed the controller. Sticks. Yeah. So that was unfortunate.
Oh.
But then the later end, the one that stands out more, is when I start getting into my favorite games, which is Siphon Filter is probably one of my favorite franchises of all time. I never got big into Metal Gear Solid like everyone else. When I think of my favorite franchises, it is like Siphon Filter. Me and my friend would talk about those games constantly. We played through them over and over and over again. We would talk about the different things and the levels. Eventually, when PS2 came out, that was the game. Like, when I got my PS3, it was like, I can't wait to get this for like Kingdom Hearts 3 and something else, and like shit like that never came out. When I got my PS2, it was I can't wait to get my PS2 for Siphon Filter Logan Shadow.
Siphon Filter. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that was how much I really, really loved that franchise. But my favorite game on PS1 is Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped, which is one of the greatest games of all time, because it has everything a great platformer should have. The variety of levels, the different things. You got a whole bunch of different characters. You think you finished the game, you get a bunch of crystals. There's a whole separate secret platform that shoots you up. You're like, holy fuck, where did this come from? That's like the epitome. That's when they hit it. Like, 2's great, 1's shit. 1 doesn't stand up at all, it's shit. 2's okay, it's fine. 3 is the ultimate best Crash Bandicoot game.
I'm looking forward to this remaster, because I played 1... I mentioned my uncle having it, but I don't think I ever really played 2 or 3, because I kind of just assumed they were the same thing. And I was...
Spoilers, they're all shit.
Yeah, I never played... Nick. Not a fan, Nick.
Not a fan.
So 3...
Sorry, I'd be remiss if I didn't say this. My favourite game... It's a bit of a cop-out, but my favourite game was Soul Reaver.
Oh, that was a good one. I played the demo, but yeah.
Definitely underrated games.
That series holds a special place in my heart.
So many of the like, you know, iconic games on PlayStation, I only know through the demos, really.
Yeah.
Because I did have that PlayStation subscription
time
for
to be
a couple
alive.
years. Yeah, demo discs, like, it just
What a time
exposed
to be
you to
alive.
so much.
Let me try and
treasure.
quickly explain because I really want people to buy and at least try out the Crash remaster, because I want it to do well, because I want Crash Team Racing and I want them to do a new Crash game.
Not gonna happen.
Crash 1 is bad.
Crash Team Racing, yes.
The difference between Crash 1 and 2 is not much in the gameplay. Like, they do less side-scrolly type levels, and the gameplay's fixed up a bit, and they change the ball to a polar bear. And you can save whenever you want, not in an actual level, like in the hub world.
The special levels, yeah.
Yeah. Crash 3 is where it gets good, because they introduce... Not only can you get to play as Coco, the boss levels are really cool, but that's when they get more into like the random weapons and stuff like this. Like, you'll have your rocket launcher gun that shoots apples at enemies, and they had different levels based in like Egypt and China and all sorts of stuff like that. So 2 and 1 are kind of similar. 3 is like nothing alike. They introduce a bad version of the Aku Aku, like the good guy mask. so that works with the
Pumaga.
bad guy. So yeah, they take it to a whole different. Crash Team Racing is the best kart racer of all time, so that needs
Straight
to
up.
be remastered ASAP. Like that's the only classic that they put out. I put on my Vita and I played through 100% of the game again. And I never wanted to touch any of those classics because I'm like, why would I? Like they don't look that good on my Vita.
No trophies.
Yeah, they're no trophies, but Crash
You get
Team
away
Racing,
with like the
fucking
sprite
bomb.
based.
Yeah, Crash Team Racing is it's so underrated. It annoys me. Like whenever I hear someone say without me like having to like bring it up, like that's why I always love listening to Kind of Funny when Tim talks about it and stuff like that. I was like, oh, he's just I'm feel connected across the world here to this guy because never in my life have I heard someone just be like, Crash Team Racing is like and like stick up for Crash. So I'm like, oh. Please, Lord. The other one, of course, is Final Fantasy. I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, but I wasn't in at 7. I wasn't in at 8. I was in at 9. And I saw 9 I saw 9. I think 9's probably my favorite of all time. Or it's close to 7, but I can't decide. It's too hard to pick because I have such fond memories because it was my first one. But I saw 9 in a official magazine. And we couldn't buy it because it was too expensive. And we used to buy a lot of our games from this like secondhand store. That's what would go all the time. And I was still doing this until I started getting more money. Like even PS3 games. The same store I went to for PS1 games, PS2 games, and PS3 games was the same secondhand store where I got most of my games from. I went in there one day. We used to go in there weekly. And went in there one day with Dad. And I was like, oh my God, it's here. Dad, we need this. And we went, I remember we left the store and I was like, please, I need, I was like nagging like a kid does, like, please, I need this, please. We walked and he didn't say anything. And then we went to the ATM and he got cash out and we walked back and it was like, oh, this thing. Oh. I remember reading the book on my way home, opening up the case. Each different disc had the different characters' pictures on them, and I was just staring at them, going, "These characters are fucking the bomb. Look at this kid; he's got a tail. Look at this guy; he's some magician dude. Look at this knight; looks like a fuck. Like, look at this girl; she's hot. I'm sure. I don't know what I was thinking when I was young. I'm like, look at her, Princess Dagger. I think that was her code name. And that one, most Final Fantasy games I could never finish. I'll do this weird thing as a kid. And I was even doing it like playing 10 on PS2. Would be like, I'd play. If I got stuck, I'd just start the game again. Like I wouldn't like farm. In my mind, it was always like, I've done something wrong because I can't beat the boss. So because I've done something wrong, I'll just start the game again. So I think I've played through the first two discs of Final Fantasy 9 like 30 times in my lifetime. Just those first two discs.
Multiple discs. Fuck.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I remember the exact moments like the discs would change because it would be crazy. It was like right after you get off the train in the Final Fantasy 9, you get off this train, you go around a corner, and it'd be like, it would come up, please insert disc 2 now. And you like you'd open up the case, and it feels so weird doing because you'd be like, the console's on. I know I just saved, but still. And then the game's telling me to, and you'd click the button, the case would open, and the disc would stop spinning, and you'd look up at the TV, and the image would still be saying like, please insert disc now. You're like, okay, so it's fine. And then you'd like switch disc, put it back in close, and then it'd sit there for a couple seconds as the disc started like spinning up, warming it, like, and then it would like continue, like, oh, thank God, like.
Yeah. There were some games you could actually take the disc out and put a CD in, like a music CD, and listen to music while you're playing, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember getting out of Midgar in Final Fantasy VII and thinking, yeah, we must be getting up disc 2 now. But then no, there was like another 15 or 20 hours of gameplay before you did.
It's weird. 7's only 3 discs, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
From memory. Yeah, but
and the third disc's really short.
8 is 4 discs.
8 is 4 discs and so is 9, yeah.
I have it sitting next to me here.
And
I own 7 now. It's one of the only, like, for some reason I paid like $50 for a copy of it just so I could own it like years and years ago.
I was so happy. I was unpacking, like, I can't remember how it must have been, I had a few come from Mum's place. She was like, oh, found a heap of your old stuff here. There's a box of shit here. Do you want it? I'm like, yeah, I guess so. I'll just see what it is and probably throw it in the bin. And I opened it up, and that was where I found my old Gallagher game from when I was like 5 years old, and my Tony Hawk's games and Final Fantasy VIII, and that was in there, and Digimon. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I have these still. It's amazing. I thought I'd lost all my PS1 games. I thought I must have just traded them in, and I found this box full of them. I was like, oh my God. But I think I've bought Metal Gear Solid like 3 times over the years. Just because like I had it as a kid and then I sold it, and then I had it again and I sold it, and then I bought it again and I'm like, now I own it forever.
I said I never bought it, but I bought it on Vita, so I've been playing it on there from time to time.
Since we, because I'm generally interested to see if everyone like picks the same thing for what they think the consensus for the best game is, just round table it, like your personal favorite and what you think the consensus for favorite is. Jono?
It's Metal Gear. I'm sure
For
of
both?
it. Yeah.
So personal favorite
Yeah.
and okay.
It's
Jack?
yeah.
It's Metal Gear for both, yeah.
Okay. Nick?
Final Fantasy 7 and probably Street Fighter vs X-Men.
Do you think Street Fighter vs X-Men is the best, or it's your favorite?
They said them backwards.
It's my favourite.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think
that's
that's
his,
yeah, okay, yeah.
is the consensus. Yeah. My favorite's Crash 3, and I think the best, the consensus is Metal Gear.
Yeah.
It is.
So, yeah. I
When
think
you-
that would have to be the.
In Metal Gear Solid 4, when you go back to Shadow Moses, spoilers for a game that came out in 2008, that was such a nostalgia
Can
wave
do.
for me. Like getting to go
So
there.
I missed out on all of that.
Yeah, I mean,
Since this has turned
music.
into like half this show's just turned into Metal Gear, Metal Gear Solid,
The Metal Gear
like
tribute
cast or something
podcast.
like that. Funny
Yeah.
story. Here's my quick overview of Metal Gear Solid. So I can never beat the first one as a kid, and I just stopped playing it. And I never went back to it, and I never played 2 or 3 on PS2. When I got PS3, I was like, I'll just jump into 4 because it's like one of the cool best games. I borrowed it off a friend. He's like, Dylan, did you ever play the other ones? I'm like, oh yeah, like I played like probably half of one. I never got around to finish it. He's like, you need to play them before you play this. You won't understand what's going on. I'm like, how hard could it be? And I start up and I play like I do like the first hour. I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck is happening in this game. I stop. I go to like, I Google like Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3 plot lines, like full really long summaries of what deeply happened, print out all these like 50 pages or whatever, sit there for the next 2-3 hours, read through the plots of all the other games, and then go, unpause. Right, okay, let's go.
so did you play 2?
No, I never played 2 or 3.
You still haven't,
No.
man.
What the
I know.
fuck, man?
Or
Yeah.
Red Dead Redemption.
Spoilers for actually.
You're back in. Dylan, you're out.
Yeah.
Actually back in.
It's,
You're
I never felt like I want to go play them, but I've never been in a big rush because I've watched. I mean, okay. So to
Do you have
clarify,
the
I've
HD
never,
collection?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To clarify, I've never played through them solely by myself, start to finish. I have played cooperatively with a friend.
Yeah, that
From
counts.
start to finish.
That's how I played Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
With my
so
brother.
I know I've done that because he used to whip them out all the time. Like that was his favorite franchise.
just whip it out.
So I know what happens in all those games because I've read the plot and I've blah blah blah, and I've watched him play parts. I've played parts. We've done it. So I've witnessed it. I've done it, but I've never done 100% from start to finish, which is something I want to do eventually. But I've never been in a big rush because I've kind of done it, I suppose. So.
There's
son of a
trophies
bitch.
for it, Dylan. There's trophies.
Yeah, I know, right? But Metal Gear Solid 5 is my favorite, so
There you go.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 5 is a great game. It goes 3, 2, 1, 4, 5 as far as the best go.
5 doesn't.
Sorry, no,
exist.
3, 1, 2, 4, 5.
Yeah, I was going to say 1 is better than 2 for me.
Yeah,
Three,
no, me too,
three
so.
is, yeah. I'm not sure how I can't really objectively do it because 1 has such a special place in the nostalgia sense, and I didn't play 3 until that HD release on PS3.
What?
Yeah, I know. I was in like
Three-
not
no,
playing games as much phase.
mine is 5, 1, 3, 2.
Mine is 4, 2, 3, 1. Peace
Five.
Walker, Portable Acid,
Shout out to
VR.
Peace Walker.
and that's it.
Side note, did
VR
anyone play
missions.
Portal Ops or Acid or whatever the fuck it was called on
Yes.
PSP?
I
That
played
was the
Portable.
shit. It was actually really,
Portable
really
Ops.
good. They had
shout,
the whole cards with it and everything.
shout out to Metal
That's
Gear
awesome.
Rising Revengeance as well.
Acid. Okay.
Did you play that, Jack?
Actually,
Did anyone play Metal Gear Rising?
No.
yes,
Unfortunately,
really fucking hard, and I nearly broke my controller beating the last boss because it
Metal
was
Gear.
Couldn't beat the
I
first
boss.
never beat the last boss in Metal Gear Rising.
It was hard as nails. When I bet that's
Fucked.
one of the few
Game
games.
fucked.
If you ask me like hardest boss fights on PS3,
That one
I'm
is
like,
it.
I'm like, that's it, because I nearly killed someone. And what annoys me is I see the trophy list like every now and then if I'm just like scrolling through all my trophies, and it's only like I beat that fucking bullshit of a hard game. It's like I've got 20% of trophies or something. I'm like, you should just give me the platinum, because like I beat you.
I legit never beat that boss.
The first boss was hard enough, as Nick was saying. I remember
I
when
couldn't beat the
first
first
started
one.
it, you're just like, this game is ridiculous.
True
Like,
story. First game I ever pre-ordered.
Really?
Yeah,
I've
Metal
got
Gear
the
Rising.
the figure that came with it.
Yeah,
Pretty cool, though. It's a legit one.
That's the first one I pre-ordered. First game I ever pre-ordered was that collector's edition with the Square Enix figure for Raiden, the white one.
Yeah, it's a pretty good
Fair.
figure too.
Great figure. I love
Shout out to Twisted Metal too,
it.
to bring it back to PlayStation.
I was trying to think of some random like PS1 games that.
Shout out to the fucking Spider-Man game, like Spider-Man on
true.
PS1.
Enter Electro.
Yeah, and the first one as
Spider-Man.
well. They're both great.
Yeah, Enter Electro was the bomb.
Yeah.
Who used to speak to Wolverine on that roof? It was Wolverine, wasn't it, on the roof?
I think so. Yeah.
Speak to everyone on the
Sounds
roof.
And Stan Lee did the commentary and everything in it, which I never knew who that was.
And you
as a
could get
kid,
you could collect the comic books and all that.
yeah,
Fantastic.
great game.
Fantastic.
I think that's probably going to wrap it up, unless anyone has any last things to say. This has been a special episode on our memories of Metal Gear. I mean, PlayStation 1. I hope you all enjoyed. If you have any memories, be sure to tweet them at Explosion Pod, or head to other places to do the thing and listen to the other things. And
Let us know what your favourite PlayStation 1 games were.
Tell me what your favourite
Metal Gear
PlayStation 1
Solid
game
game
is. And just tweet it at me, and I might retweet you to all our followers, because we have millions. Where can the people find you, Jono?
You can find me on Twitter at Jono himself. That's where I
Jack?
am.
You can find me at cruisy_mate on Twitter, and I'm halfway to getting that sweet YouTube URL. So please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Cruisy Mate, and I will change it. If I ever get my URL, I will change it to cruisy_mate on YouTube.
But more importantly, can you subscribe to this YouTube page, which is bit.ly/Explosion Network. I think that's correct.
Jack, I thought you were gonna say subscribe to Cruisy Mate, and I'll change your life.
Oh, that'll happen too, but that's a given.
Nicholas, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Lord and Prior, PRIOR.
And you can follow me at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL. Also, quick shout out, because this is the PlayStation podcast. Me and Nick have been streaming a lot on Twitch lately, and we're going to try and do that a lot more consistently. So you can head to twitch.tv/Explosion Network, where we currently have a schedule of Monday and Wednesday, and Nick just seems to be popping on all the fucking time. And we're just going to get that going. So if you want to watch us play games, it'll be great. I'm going to start doing it every Monday, heading straight into this show. So if you have any random questions or stuff like that you want me to take into the show, you can pop into my stream and I'll take them straight into the podcast afterwards, which would be a cool idea. Thank you for listening.
Just before we leave,
everyone has a
just a little thing. If any of our listeners can point me in the direction where I can purchase a brand new PlayStation Vita, because I think my original OLED is dying. No, just like a new one. Like if you know of like a retailer who has one, or you've seen one at your local mom and pop shop, which is a new one. I don't want a used one. I want a new one. If you can point me in the direction of a new PlayStation Vita, I will buy it, and I may buy you a gift for being that person. As Jaden Pryor, I'm looking at you. This is on you. You better do this for me. Or anyone else who wants to take the mantle of the number one fan, it's up for grabs.
Cruisy_mate. Thank you. Have a wonderful
Also,
night, evening, morning.
I want to shout out to Jesse Cusworth for making the artwork for this show and all the artwork for the whole network.
It's your boy Jesse.
I'd also just like to give a shout out to my mum, because it was Mother's Day yesterday. So thanks, Mum, for pushing me out and all that.
She ain't listening.
Also, shout out to Malcolm Turnbull for getting the budget out. So you did a good kind of good job there.
Fucked.
Shout out to Gex
anyone got any
3D Enter the Gecko.
Plat!
No one's getting a shout out because I'm pretty sure I fucking ended this ages ago and stuck this at the end of the show.
No. Dude,
Shout
can you
out.
leave the bin in? Can you leave the bin in about? Can you just leave? I legit need the Vita one left in there though because I need to buy a new Vita.